What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of PolyFamily Season 1, Episode 4, Oh My Quad. So the episode starts off with the whole entire quad family. They're at a community or neighborhood event for Christmas, and they get to meet other people in their community. The kids take a picture with Santa, etc. And when they introduce themselves to the people in their area, they're very open and honest with their dynamic. For example, Tyler, if he met someone there, he would introduce his family as, this is my wife, Alicia, this is my girlfriend, Taya, and this is Taya's husband, Sean. So they're very open with how they live, their lifestyle, who they are, etc. They don't try to hide it at all. Everybody that we have seen them interact with that's within the community, once they know what their dynamic is, they're all like, yeah, I couldn't do this. Yeah, this is not my jig. There's no way I could do this. Because, it's different. It's very, very, very different. But anyway, let's move on. So there's a scene where the children are taking pictures with Santa, and the two little boys are sitting next to each other. And I've noticed with the two little boys, I feel like, now this is just my personal, untrained eye opinion, I feel like I can kind of tell who fathered which of the little boys, because there's a dark-haired little boy, and then there's the other one. His hair is a little bit lighter. I think it might have like a reddish tint to it. But besides from the hair, I think that the one of the little boys, I feel like is Sean's child, from the facial structure, the facial features of the child, and also his hair is a little bit lighter. And we know that Taya has dark hair, so his hair isn't like a bright red or a blonde or anything like that, but it is a little bit lighter than his brother's. The other little boy, I feel like, looks a lot like Tyler. So the one that's sitting closest to Santa, I thought could be Sean's son. And the one that's sitting in between his sister and the other 2-year-old, I think that little boy belongs to Tyler. And I still feel like the baby might be Sean's because of the hair coloring. But then we also saw Taya's brother, who's a redhead. So maybe, who knows? So it's still up in the air with the newborn baby. So they take pictures with Santa. Really good event. Let's move on. The next scene, they're all in the kitchen. All 4 of them are in the kitchen, and they're talking about this third-party adoption that they want to do. So these people, I don't know if they're out in the if they're living out in the middle of nowhere where they can't Google things. I'm not understanding why they just can't Google, like the whole blood type thing. If they would just Google it, they would know that blood type cannot tell you who fathered the child. Okay, it doesn't matter what the blood types are. That doesn't distinguish or indicate paternity in any way. You have to get a DNA test. But Sean is still hanging on to the fact that, Tyler is a father of Quentin, and he's really pissed about that they know that, right? Because they had a pact that they would never know which man fathered which child that was born within the quad. I'm not sure why they're not Googling this. Also, when it comes to the whole third-party adoption, they can just Google this information, that a person cannot have more than 2 legal parents. And I think in their quad mind, they think that while everybody is still living and everyone is still retaining their parental rights to the children born within their marriages, they think that the other couple can adopt their children. And so the child will have 4 legal parents, and there would be like 3 or 4 names on the birth certificate. I think that's what they think can happen. But no, that's not how it goes when it comes to adoption. The way that we know it and the way that it's done, I think in the majority of the states, if not all of them, a person can only have 2 legal parents. So when it comes to adoption, in order to adopt a child, if there were any legal parents, those parents would have to give up or terminate their rights in order for someone else to step in and adopt. And I think in most jurisdictions, I could be wrong, I'm not an attorney, in most jurisdictions, they'll do the adoption at the same hearing, at the same time that they do the termination of the parental rights, because they don't want the child to be without a legal parent for 1 iota of a second. So the judge will sign the adoption papers, and this judge will sign the termination papers, or vice versa, however it goes, basically at the same time, or practically at the same time. So they go speak to an attorney, and after the attorney figures out the logistics of who's married to who, which child was born to whom, etc. Once they figure all of that out, the attorney basically says no. We cannot have y'all. We're not be able to. No judge would sign off on an adoption where the child ends up with more than two legal parents. The attorney said that in order for any adoption to take place, the legal parent would have to terminate their legal rights to that child. And of course, if everybody's living, they're not willing to do that. No living parent in this quad is going to want to give up their parental rights just so that another one within the quad can adopt that child. That doesn't make any sense. That's not doesn't make any sense. So their whole issue is, especially Alicia, their whole issue is that if anything should happen to any of the parents, they want the other set of parents to step in as the legal parents of the children that were orphaned or whatever, because Alicia does not want her family, like if anything happened to her and Tyler at the same time, she does not want her family to have an opportunity to step in and take her children away from Sean and Taya and from their other siblings, because her family does not support this lifestyle at all. And they don't really have like a bond, I guess, with her youngest child. So she doesn't want her family to step in at all if anything should happen to her and Tyler. So she really wants to make sure that Sean and Taya would be able to adopt their children immediately and step in as their legal parents and keep all the children together. Now, once the attorney tells them that, yeah, it's not going to work, you can file your petition for the adoption. You can go ahead and do that. You can file anything you want in court. It's up to a judge to determine whether or not you have a valid lawsuit and, what's the outcome of that case. And if the judge denies the adoption because there's no precedent in a situation like this where anybody had more than two legal parents at the same time, then they can appeal the judge's decision. And then it can go all the way up to the appellate courts and possibly all the way up to the Supreme Court. And if an appellate court or a Supreme Court reverses the lower court's decision, then you have precedent. And that's how laws are made. So, well, laws that are not statutory. You have, the laws that are set by precedent. So Alicia wants to fight it as far as it could go, because there's a scene between her and Sean, and they're in the kitchen, and Alicia is telling Sean that she wants to get a second opinion on this whole third party adoption. And Sean was like, it really doesn't matter because they're all going to say the same thing. You can get a second, third, fourth, fifth opinion, and the answer is going to be the same, that we cannot do that. And so Alicia's like, well, I'm not ready to give up this fight. I really want to, dig further. I want to do my research. And there's got to be a way that we can change the laws to allow third party adoptions. Okay, girl, good luck. Moving on from there, they are now planning date night. And it's been a while since any of these couples had date night. They've been so busy with the new baby, getting adjusted with that, with the other children. So there hasn't been an opportunity to spend quality time with each other or with their partners. So the way that they do date night in this quad is, first they do rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, these grown people do rock, paper, scissors. And then whoever wins the rock, paper, scissors game, they pick a name out of a bag. And the name that they pick is who they go out with on date night. So Tyler won the rock, paper, scissors, and he pulled out Taya's name. Automatically, your girl Alicia felt some kind of way. So she feels some kind of way because she's jealous of Taya, and she's jealous of Taya's relationship with her husband Tyler. And she didn't really care for that, but she has to go along with it because this is the lifestyle that she Alicia really confuses me. The reason why I say that is because Alicia signed up for this lifestyle, and part of being polyamory is that your partner is going to be intimate and have relations with at least one other person. And if you can't hang with that, what are you doing? Like, I don't get it. If you have this jealousy issue, then what are you doing? Why are you stressing yourself out like this? Y'all, I don't do stress. I do not do stress. It's hard enough to live a healthy lifestyle with exercise and what you eat and so on and so forth. The one thing that I try my best to control is the amount of stress I let into my life. Sometimes you can't avoid it, like jobs, kids, spouses, whatever. You just can't avoid it. You can try to minimize, but you can. But if I can avoid a stressful situation, I am quick to X out people in a heartbeat. If you're bringing stress into my life and you're not like married to me and I didn't birth you, yeah, I'm gonna X you out for real. I don't have time. So if Taya and Tyler's relationship is stressing out Alicia, why are you in this dynamic? Why would you choose this lifestyle if you have jealousy issues? Or maybe she thought that she was going to come into a situation where she felt like her husband will always prefer her over the other female in the relationship. Maybe that's what she thought was going to happen. But she clearly sees the chemistry and the attraction between Tyler and Taya, and she doesn't like it. Sean also was kind of bummed out, but the only reason why Sean was bummed out that Tyler chose Taya was because he hasn't had quality time with his wife in a long time, and so he was kind of bummed out about that. But he was kind of like, well, it is what it is. Even though the men are still doing their little rotation every night, I think one of them had said, I'm not sure which one it was, but one of them had said that even though the men are doing their rotation, ain't nothing going on in these bedrooms. These bedrooms are as cold as ice because everybody's so damn tired with the newborn and the kids running around. Everybody's exhausted by the time they go to bed. So nothing's been happening in the intimacy department with any of these people. So the fact that Taya and Tyler get to have this date night, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. So Alicia tells us that she has established a boundary where she does not want to hear about her husband's intimacy details with Taya, and she doesn't care about what Sean and Taya do, but she for real doesn't want to hear about what goes on in the bedroom between her husband and Taya. And so that's a very strict boundary to her. So she knows that she knows what goes on. She knows that they do it. That's one thing. But to hear the details of it, she's not having it. She compares those, and the reason why is because she compares. Oh, also, she doesn't want to hear about Sean and Taya either. She doesn't want to hear about Tyler and Taya. She doesn't want to hear about Sean and Taya. What these men do with Taya, she doesn't want to know about it. She also compares herself a lot to other people. So that's why she's got these insecurity issues. She compares herself to Taya, compares her relationship with Tyler to Sean and Taya's relationship, and she compares her relationship with Tyler to Tyler and Taya's relationship as well. The biggest reason why she's jealous of Taya is because there's an undeniable physical attraction and chemistry between her husband and Taya. She said herself, this came out of Alicia's mouth, they look more in love. Do y'all hear me? Alicia herself said that her husband Tyler looks more in love. Him and Taya look more in love with each other than she and Tyler, or than her and Tyler. I don't know how it is. This woman said this on camera. She's being very vulnerable. She's being very transparent about her feelings. And we truly appreciate that because we want to know the get down and the get down in a polyamorous relationship. I truly do commend her, not condemn. I truly do commend her for being very open and honest with her feelings, because this is what we all think goes on in polyamorous relationships, that there's always some level of jealousy. I don't know if y'all are watching 90 Day Fiance, but on 90 Day Fiance, there's a throuple and there's jealousy there. I've never really watched Sister Wives. What's his name? Cody and all his women. I've never really I watched a little tiny bit of it a long time before Christine came into the. No, I stopped watching it when Christine came in. I wasn't watching it religiously or faithfully, but once Christine entered the dynamic, for whatever reason, I stopped watching it. Oh, I think I stopped watching it because I realized that these people weren't really married. Because I thought, for whatever reason, I thought that in Utah, are they from Utah? I thought that in Utah you could have more than one spouse, but I don't think you can have more than one spouse in any state. So then once I found out that that was not legal in Utah, because I thought, with the Mormons living there, that was allowed to have more than one spouse, but I don't think you can. Maybe at one point you could, but then they changed the laws. So once I found out that Cody was only married to one and not the others, I was like, man, this is just a man with a bunch of girlfriends. I am not interested. And then I quit watching. Around the time that Christine came in, I quit watching. Anywho, So I don't know if there's jealousy in that dynamic. For those of y'all that watch Sister Watch, I can let me know. But it seems like there's always jealousy in these polyamorous type of relationships. Once again, Alicia, girl, what are you doing? Okay, you have the better looking husband. You have the more charming husband. He's fun. He's charming. He's attractive. Um, it's a good time with Tyler. And you're going to let another woman lay down with him and develop a bond with him? Girl, what are you doing? So, what did I miss? Okay, da, 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 da. Okay, we talked about the attorney and how the attorney told him, yeah, that's not going to happen. Then there's a scene where the quad meet up with Taya's dad and Taya's siblings because Taya's family is the only one that's like 100% in support of this lifestyle. So they spend a lot of time with them. They tell Taya's family that they're not able to do the third party adoption because a person cannot have more than two legal parents. And of course, Alicia's fear is that if anything happens, like I said before, if anything happens to her and Tyler, she's worried that her family's going to step in and take her kids away. So she really wants to make sure that Sean and Taya get her kids if anything happens to her and Tyler. Now that I'm assuming now they must know because they did know when they first, I don't know when Alicia and Tyler knew about Sean's history. His history of being inappropriate with a minor, his history of the ex-wife, the kids that he's not taking care of, supposedly, allegedly. All of these are just allegations. I don't know what the truth is. All these, I wonder how they feel now, knowing that that he could possibly, end up with their children if anything happened to them. I wonder if their decision now has changed, if they do not now know about Sean's history, or if they don't believe the rumors and the allegations, and they're cool with Sean raising their kids if anything happened to them. I don't know, but that's definitely a question to be asked. So Taya is FaceTiming a friend of hers. Her name is Lex. And they have like practically identical lifestyles. This is like one of her best friends. She lives 12 hours away, so they're not able, because the producers asked her, did you and Lex ever date? And Taya's like, no, but I wish we did. So obviously she feels some type of attraction towards Lex, but she lives 12 hours away. Lex is also in a polyamorous relationship. Lex has 5 kids, just like Taya, and Lex also just had a baby, just like Taya. So they're pretty good friends. And Taya says that even though she might have an attraction towards Lex, she never considered pursuing a relationship with Lex because she did not meet Lex until she was within this quad. So maybe, I don't know, maybe like I want to have an understanding. Are they open or not open to other people joining the quad? But Lex has her own family. She's got her own stuff going on. Now it's time for date night. So Taya and Tyler are not only going to have a date night, they're going to be gone overnight. And then Sean and Alicia are going to be left home with the children. So they're going to have an overnight little romantic trip, just the two of them. Tyler talks about how romantic he is for his partner. And Taya says to Tyler, you're the most romantic person I ever dated. Yeah, that's what she said. She told Tyler, who is not her husband, and she's married to Mean Green over there, grumpy old man over there. She tells this man, you are the most romantic person I ever dated. Now, we know from the rumors and allegations that Sean met Taya when she was 18. He was like 28 or something, 28, 38. I don't know. There's like a big age gap between them. That's when they met. And Sean, well, we'll see. Okay, Sean has a lot of issues. Let me mark my spot so I don't get lost. Sean has a lot of issues, with his history, his past. His relationship with Tyler is not the best. The way he interferes with Tyler's parenting his own children. He's mean, he's grumpy. But it's really surprising to me that he himself is also in this polyamory. You would think that a guy like Sean would be very possessive of his woman, But he's like totally cool and okay with his wife having sex with another man, having a close bond with this other man. And the fact that this other man seems to be like better than him in so many ways. For example, like I said, Tyler's more attractive. He's more charming. He's more fun to be with. He's more laid back. Tyler and Taya to me match so well. They match so well. I definitely see the chemistry between them. And y'all, I don't see the chemistry between Alicia and Tyler. I know they have it. I'm not saying that they don't. I know that they do have chemistry. I just don't see it. With my glasses and all, I just don't see it. Maybe y'all do, but I don't see it. I wonder how Sean is going to feel when he sees that footage of his wife telling Tyler, "You're the most romantic person I've ever dated." And to me, Sean doesn't look like he's that romantic. So they're on their way to their getaway. Taya feels kind of nervous about it because she doesn't feel her best. She just had a baby. She's got this postpartum body. She doesn't feel very desirable. Taya tells us that her and Tyler have connected through intimacy. So when they don't have that intimacy there, because she doesn't know if she's going to want to be intimate with him on their little getaway. So she feels like if we don't have that, if we don't do that, what else do we have between us? They get to the little Airbnb. Tyler tries to make it very romantic with the rose petals on the bed, etc. Taya's feeling very uncomfortable because she's not comfortable in her own skin. She says she's tired, her boobs hurt, and she's just not comfortable in her postpartum body. Taya tells him that she feels very overwhelmed, and she goes into the bathroom, and I guess she's crying. She's getting emotional. He goes in there to start checking on her, to see if she's okay, and he seems very understanding. He's like, we don't got to do anything if you don't want to. It's cool as long as we get time to chill and relax and spend time together. We don't have to do a damn thing. So they start stuffing marshmallows in their mouths. The next day, Sean and Alicia are literally counting the minutes for when their spouses come back home. They're literally counting the minutes because they're looking at their phone. I guess they have their locations. Everybody has each other's location. And Sean is like, yeah, they're 7 minutes away. Where are they? Because, these kids are random up the wall. Once Tyler and Taya come home, we do find out that they were intimate because Taya tells us that once Tyler took the pressure off of her, once she no longer felt pressure to perform, all of a sudden she got her sexy back and they got it on and popping. Tyler tells Sean and Alicia in the kitchen, they're all in the kitchen now, and Tyler kind of shares with them what they did on the little getaway. And he mentions that they experimented with edible body paint. And Alicia didn't like that. His wife, she didn't like that. She was like, wait a minute, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear about your intimate details. Sean didn't give a damn. He was down. He was willing to listen to all of it. He didn't care. So Tyler tries to say, well, I'm not giving you intimate details. He says something like, we could have been doing this with our clothes on or something. We could have been, licking paint off of each other with our clothes on or something like that. And Alicia's like, oh, you're intimate with your clothes on? Yeah, right, whatever. In their confessional, she confronts her husband about this. And she's like, I remember telling you that I have boundaries. I don't want to hear about the intimate details between you and Taya. And Tyler says, well, I didn't share intimate details. Alicia says, edible body paint is intimate. Taylor says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm so used to talking about, intimate details and what I do sexually. Oh, I'm so used to talking about that with Sean and Taya. I'm so used to talking about that with them that I forgot to censor myself when you were there. Am I making myself clear? So when Tyler happened to mention the edible body paint and Alicia got upset and she confronts him and says, remember, I told you I don't want to hear about the details of what you do with Taya. And then Tyler says, oh, the three of us, me, Taylor, and Sean, we're so used to talking about sex and what we do that I forgot to censor myself when you were there. So now Alicia is feeling some kind of way. She feels, number one, left out. She's like, well, I didn't know. What did she say? She goes, oh, I didn't know that you guys swapped sex stories. Well, she didn't say that literally. I'm just, paraphrasing. I didn't know that you guys swapped sex stories without me. Sorry to have messed that up for you guys. Not only is she incredibly insecure in this dynamic, she's also extremely passive aggressive. This woman, I'm like, what are you doing in this polyamorous relationship, Alicia? What are you doing here? You can't hang with the big dogs when it comes to polyamory and swapping partners and all. You can't hang, girl. And that's okay. A lot of us couldn't hang. The way you feel is how I think the average person would probably feel when it came to their partners being intimate with other people. I don't know if it's right or not right, if it's correct or not correct, if it's permissible or not permissible to, in a polyamorous situation, for everybody to talk about what they do behind closed doors. I don't know if that's normal or not because I'm not in a polyamorous relationship. I don't know what it's like to sit down and have a conversation with my intimate partner and to listen to them talk about being intimate with other people. I don't know if that's normal or not. I don't know. I'm in a monogamous relationship and I would never want to hear. I don't know. Well, that's not what we do here. So I don't know if it's okay or not okay because, if you're in a monogamous relationship with one other person, y'all talk about, intimate things, right? When you're in a polyamorous relationship, is it the same thing where y'all all get together and, like, within context, of course, not just, hey, let me tell you what me and Susie did last night, not like that, but then, like, within, if you're having a conversation that leads to sex and you just happen to mention what y'all do with each other, is that normal or is it a no-no where it's like, no, when these two people are together or when these three people are together, however, we don't talk about what we do with the other people in this relationship. We just don't do that. Like, or is it different for every dynamic? Is it different for everybody? Each group, each polyamorous situation is different. Some might want to talk about it, others might not want to talk about it. And what do you do if some do and some don't within the same dynamic? Like in this situation here, the other three don't care. They can talk about it. They can mention what happens beyond closed doors. Alicia doesn't want to know about it, but then Alicia feels left out because she's the way that she is. She says that she feels like the odd man out because she's not comfortable with hearing about the others' sex life. She's not comfortable hearing about that. So she feels like the odd man out. So not only did she feel like an outsider when it came to bonding with the baby, she was so desperate to do something to be included that she wanted to breastfeed the baby, even though she couldn't breastfeed the baby. And not only is she the odd one out when it comes to third party adoption, the others seem to have, like, moved on from that. They're like, oh well, the lawyer said it can't happen, so let's just move on. She wants to change the laws of the United States and take it up to the Supreme Court. And now once again, she's the odd one out when it comes to intimacy. Alicia, Alicia, girl, what are you doing? I don't know what else to say. I don't know. The thing I think that might be the solution is for Tyler to love on her more. I don't know. I think Tyler needs to love on his wife a whole lot more to help her overcome her insecurities. But y'all, I just can't help but think that Tyler and Taya or they seem to go together better. You know, because of the fact that they're both laid back, they're chill, they go with the flow. Whereas Alicia and Sean, both of them, something's always making them mad or feeling there's always some type of negativity. Alicia feels left out all the time and she's struggling with jealousy. Sean, I know, is struggling with jealousy because both of your women would prefer to be with Tyler. Let's just, call a thing a thing. And Sean knows this. I don't think Sean cares about the paternity of the children. I don't think he cares about how the kids are disciplined. I think his issue is Tyler, and he's jealous of Tyler. And so the jealousy shows in him griping about these other issues because he just can't confront his own feelings, his own jealousy towards Tyler. So he is also very passive aggressive. He starts picking on Tyler on other things. For example, he always talks about how he wants to protect his rights with his children or whatever because Tyler might come around and get a DNA test, go to court, and try to take his kids away from him. And he's so worried about that, even though Tyler has never mentioned doing that at all. Okay, he's never mentioned that. I feel like they're all on the same page as far as wanting the other couple to take over being the legal parents of their children if anything should happen to the first couple, right? They're all on the same page about that. But Sean thinks that Tyler is secretly planning and plotting to become the legal father of all of these kids somehow, the ones that he actually fathered. And then that's going to push Sean out of the way. He's really worried about that, which it's just jealousy. He's creating all of these issues on these because he's very jealous of Tyler. Maybe he himself is planning on doing that. And so he's putting it on Tyler, but maybe that's what he secretly wants to do. I don't know. So Sean and Alicia are always upset about something, worried about something, bothered about something. They should form their own little, couple and gripe and complain until the sun comes up, just the two of them. And then Taylor and Taya, Tyler and Taya should do their own thing. T and T should do their own thing because they just don't give a damn. They're chill, they're relaxed, easygoing. They don't care. Just, I don't know. It's just a very strange dynamic. A lot of jealousy, a lot of passive aggressiveness. Thank you so much for joining me, y'all. I'm rambling. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.